and cross a generation gap. It's a piece of cake.
I believe productivity right now in 2025 is way less than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
As long as the boss man has taught them properly, that kid will remember something. But if that kid hasn't been taught properly, one day he's going to teach someone else.
Yeah.
And he's actually not going to teach him right.
There were so many people just not caring. The construction industry isn't just about the buildings we build.
And there's one thing I do regret, and I never asked him.
The thing is, you don't know what you don't know. A much lower standard of work to what we were 20 years ago.
That will never happen again.
This industry is changing rapidly, and you aim to be the best at what you're doing. You will be very successful.
The recipe is actually pretty easy, but no one's doing it.
G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Level Up. We are back in the shed this afternoon for an absolute cracking episode. Been trying to get this guy on for a little while. I've never actually met him before, but I've heard a lot about him. I think he's one of the best brickies in Australia from what I've heard. So today we've got for you Andrew Hoskings. He's 58 years old. He's been a brickie for 42 years. Worked for himself for 30, but he's also one of the judges in the World Skills, which I definitely want to learn more about. And you also do a lot of work with TAFE. So, mate, thanks for coming on board today and having a chat.
Mate, my pleasure, Duayne. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Really good. I love the topic of bricklaying, and we've got to make it better, and we've got to actually encourage young people to do the trade.
Definitely.
This is a mission that comes from an old fart. Now, my years in the trade, I used to sit in the smoko room, Duayne, and in the 80s, it was like, be quiet, don't say anything. You can talk when you're told to talk. But these days, no. I sit in the smoko room as probably the oldest guy in the smoko room, but I love all the different trades, and in particular, the young guys who are interested in bricklaying and just construction across the board. I find it important. Duayne, I never take away from anything to do with tertiary education. Super important. A country has to go forward, but let's not forget about vocational training. All right, that's the kicker, because we work hard. And as a general rule, we're really productive.
Yeah. Mate, you're obviously doing something well, mate, because you're a very fit and healthy looking bricklayer. Like most bricklayers you meet are hunched over, they're all buggered up, they're worn out. Like what's the secret?
Well, you're exactly right, Duayne, what you say. I've always been pretty tall and pretty lean. My old boss, like I said, he actually said to me, "You're too tall to be a bricklayer, you're going to do your back in." One thing that I could say to young guys, I know that bricklaying is a piece rate. So there's so many bricks you've got to get laid a day to cover your costs, to run at a profit, and to advance in the trade. But what I've always done is I don't want to burn myself out. So I actually pace myself, and as I'm getting older, I can still put a big day in if I want to. But I always pace myself because I always looked at the fact of I don't want a bad back. I don't want, knee problems or shoulder problems or things that come with blocklaying and bricklaying. But in saying that, it's been my choice not to go like the clappers.
I like what you just touched on, mate, because you know how many bricks you've got to lay a day to make it worthwhile.
Yep.
And I actually think that is a skill, and it's a skill in itself that doesn't get talked about. Yeah. And I personally, look, we might go down a bit of a rabbit hole here, but I personally believe that everyone's banging on about the cost of housing and affordability and all that type of thing, but no one's talking about productivity.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure on your theory, but I believe productivity right now in 2025 is way less than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've seen some recent studies and they've done the numbers. Like it's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Because a lot of young people that get into the industry, like whether you're a brickie, a plasterer, a carpenter, or whatever, a tiler, like you have to get a certain amount of work done each day to be profitable.
That's it. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't think about that enough.
No, and look, this is a problem with the industry we have. Now, I'm not going to target any building and construction companies, but the one thing they've got to realise is, for a trade to be sustainable and continue, they have to make sure that their tradies have the ability to get the right money so that they can employ, they can train, and they can actually stay in the industry and be viable, relevant, and run at a profit. There's no use going like hell, burning yourself out and chucking it in and going and buying a taxi. What's that achieved? Nothing. If you like your job, you should be able to control your career, to be able to turn up, put in a really good day, put the numbers in to pay for the labourer and for everybody else to be viable in the bricklaying gang. But you also need, as well as productivity to do that, you also need the right dollar per thousand, per block, or per hourly rate. You know, and I've always tried to sort of not burn myself out. At 58 this year, I've seen a whole heap of burnouts, and some are unfortunate, but some of them have been brought on by themselves.
Yeah.
You know, but the only thing, I agree with what you said, Duayne, productivity-wise, the houses are unusual these days. They've got a lot of glass in them. The big runs are gone. There's not as much sort of long-run brickwork to get numbers in. But bricklaying, you've got to be productive. You've got to be able to get the bricks in to pay. So
that's that's something I've never really thought about, but you're 100% right. Like, houses do have less brickwork in them because people want bigger sliding doors and bigger windows. So
yeah,
like, you would make your cream on your big runs.
Absolutely. When we were younger, I never thought about it when I was maybe an apprentice or even in the first 5 years of going out on my own. But there was more dollars to be made and more value in a long run, or backing up a retaining wall with a 9-inch skin or a cavity wall. But these days in a house, you've got sectional panels. You've got lots of 24x18s, 24 high be 3 metres, 3-6, lots of big openings, heaps of glass. Now, I get that. That's the architectural thing. A lot of it is the sustainability of the house. Like, everything is involved in that. But what that's meant is it's probably more difficult to be as productive as what it was in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
The style of house is different, you know. Yeah, it just is, yeah.
And I'm sure you'd have an opinion on this as well. Like, what about the quality of the bricks that you're laying?
Rightio, here's a burner.
Well, mate, I see it across everything in the industry, so I'm sure bricks are no different.
Now, and look, this question, I've got to be blunt, straight up. Austral Bricks, huge player in the market. Of course, then Boral and PGH are as one. As big companies, they've got huge turnovers, all right? And I know that they have to supply the materials, but for a market that's booming, and let's face it, Australia's construction industry, I bat for Australia's construction industry. I actually think it's bigger than the mining industry.
Oh, it is, but no one talks about it.
But no one talks about it. Yeah. It's way bigger than the mining industry, especially its offshoots.
Mate, I did a email a few years ago and sent it to some government officials, and we're telling them basically they need to wake up themselves, because when you add up, everyone talks about construction in all these different facets that they don't really, but they don't put everything together.
Yeah.
But when you add up, like, the construction industry isn't just about the buildings we build. Like, you've got the buildings we build, obviously all the employees and contractors that come together to build that.
That's it.
Then you've got all the suppliers that supply those materials. Then you've got all the transport companies that transport it. Then you've got all the manufacturers that make those materials. Then you've got forestry, and then on top of that, not only that, everyone builds a new house or moves into a house. Generally, they'll go and buy new furniture or something to put in.
Yeah. So it's huge.
It's massive.
Yeah, and look, and to keep up with that, I know the quality of bricks The 80s, the fact that I didn't start until like 83 and then rolled through as an apprentice, I know the bricks in the 80s and the 90s are of better quality than they are now.
Yeah.
There's a huge colour range now. It's like a paint card. It's like a paint brochure of colours, but the quality of the bricks seems to be less than what it was in the 80s and 90s. Sure, occasionally there's better quality bricks in some particular brands and also some particular lines that might be. So the Duayne brick this 6 months might be better than the Duayne brick next year. I think it's very dependent on clay, materials, production, turnover. You know, it probably has a lot more variables than what it did years ago, but we had probably a better quality brick years ago. Certainly size-wise, very unusual. There's more variance now.
Yeah, bricks aren't as solid as what they used to be. Hey, like I remember as an apprentice, like most bricks were a solid brick, and they had, I don't know what you call it, the indentation in the bottom of the brick.
Yeah, the frog. Yeah,
frog. Is that what it's called?
That's it. Yep.
But then these days they seem to be a lot more hollow, a lot more holes in them.
Yeah. When I first started, I came partially through what we call dry. Well, different states call it different things, but Queensland would call it dry pressed. So dry pressed bricks have the frog, and they're a dry pressed brick in a mould. So they're inclined to come out very accurate, really accurate product, but they're always more expensive. You can still buy them. There was we call it a boutique brickwork in Warwick.
Yeah, yeah.
A German family owned it. They were magnificent bricks.
That's still going in at the Warwick.
Well, I'm not 100% sure, Duayne. It probably still is, but it can never play with the big players, and they know that. They're not silly. But we used to call them boutique brickwork, and it was amazing, their product. They were dry pressed, but extruded bricks have the 10 holes or cord bricks. I know New South Wales, Victorian call them cord bricks.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, a lot of old boys will go, oh, the frog brick, dry pressed brick, it'll be the best brick. They're very hungry for water. They drink water. I know as an apprentice we'd have to go to work early. We'd have to be running the hoses on the bricks to actually make them layable so that when you spread your mortar, they wouldn't absorb the moisture out of the mortar straight away and be dead off the trowel. Yeah, so we'd have to go there and hose the bricks for like half an hour or an hour before. And half the time we had to do it in our own time. So then the boss would come along and said, have you got it all together yet? And we went, yeah, it's all ready. Because back then, that was another thing. Labourers, they used to turn up early. They were expected to turn up earlier. They had to have everything going, you know, ready to rock and roll. I'd love to see it return again. It's very difficult to find them. Good bricklayers, labourers. They're rarer. They're rarer than the bricklayer itself. You know, they're just gone, and yet they're a highly important part of the whole bricklaying game.
Well, bricklaying's obviously it's a dying art, like, and brickwork is definitely, well, especially up here in Queensland. There's not, and we were just talking about before we started recording, like only 2 kilometres as a crow flies from my house here. Like when I was an apprentice, there was an enormous clay pit. I can't remember the name of the brickworks, but there was a huge brickworks, and now it's all industrial land. And there's another one over on the south side that only in the last 2 years has closed down as well. So it's there's nowhere near as much brickwork as what there used to be.
No, and yet you still can't get a bricklayer. So in construction, in all of these, like, you know, really big developments, construction companies have struggled to get bricklayers. So it always worries me overseas, whatever trade, or I've observed overseas, that whatever trade they struggle to get, they'll change the material. If they can't get bricklayers, they'll source out a different material to clad that building or clad that house or do that factory different. I didn't experience, but as a bricklayer, but I know particularly in Brisbane and Sydney, huge blocklaying gangs. Before tilt-up was even a thing, big blocklaying gangs, 60 plus, could be more guys you'd hear about, and labourers laying huge amounts of concrete blocks on big developments or shopping centres or, block work in the city or
Yeah.
sub area, you know, car parks and whatever in city developments and high rises. Yeah, they still do to a certain degree, but nothing like they used to. Now, the big blocklaying gangs disappear, and it's more viable to do the tilt-up thing. Now, I don't say there's nothing wrong with that. It's great. Like, there's no problems in it, and it soaks up concrete workers, steel fixers, the riggers, the cranes. It still has a huge flow-on effect for work, but the old blocklaying gang, that's gone.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so I'd hope that the bricklaying thing stays relevant, you know, particularly in Australia, because Australia's only a puppy.
Yeah.
You know, we got so much.
Well, we need more passionate people, mate. So I guess to take people back, so Andrew, I've met Andrew through The Godfather, Craig Stewart. So
The Godfather, is that what they call him?
that's what we call him. He's a wealth of knowledge, mate, and just like you, he's incredibly passionate about his craft. And he's been telling me about you for so long, and like, you've got to meet this bloke, you've got to see his work. And I'm not sure, we'll try and do it maybe in the recording of this, but like the photographs that you sent through of your brickwork and some of the, it's artistic, mate. Like, some of the stuff that you produce is insane.
Yeah.
And I know there's probably a lot of that doesn't get asked for regularly. Like, it's you having a bit of a play around, or is it? Like,
Well, Duayne, a little bit of both. One thing I've said this to my apprentices, I was really lucky to be an apprentice in the 1980s meant that you flowed through a really good construction industry in the 90s. And in the 90s, there was a bit of a hit on design with Federation. So it was like Federation brickwork. So we got the ability to do arch work, to do some buttress work, to do gable ends, to do front entries with arches, just a lot of different sort of work, which now just to do with the design of homes and I suppose the trend of what we're in, that has gone.
yeah,
But not always. We're really lucky. Brick companies, I say again, Boral, PGH and Austral, they're very good. They still do brick display centres. So some of that work in those photos was brick display centres. Also, occasionally we get requests from them through architects to actually do work for architects.
Yeah.
So it's kind of lucky. It's indirectly, and I haven't really done it. I've probably only done it through being passionate, and I've got a bit of a hunger for doing some design brickwork. Doors have opened where somebody wants a fireplace that's a bit different. We get a phone call. So it's become really good. It's kind of like a little networky door that's opened up for design brickwork.
well, when you're passionate about something and you like, people pick up on that, and people want that in their work, because you're a hard bloke to find. You don't have an Instagram or Facebook or
Flying under the radar.
But mate, a lot of the time that's the best way to be. Like, you're just poking away, doing your thing, and you're doing it really well. But like, tell us a little bit about, because you do a bit of work with TAFEs and stuff, and I know I've heard from my TAFE teachers that teach my apprentices, my carpentry apprentices, that bricklayers are getting few and far between. Like, there's not a lot of kids coming through.
Yeah, nowhere near enough. Duayne, we've got a first year apprentice. He was with us last year as a labourer, so he started this year as a first year. Now, he's at TAFE up Sunshine Coast. There's himself and 2 kids in the class, which is crazy.
Yeah.
The Sunshine Coast, mate, he should be 13 of them in the class.
Yeah.
But it's sort of weird. I know, and don't get me wrong, all of these trades are important. The pick trades, from what I see by going to work every day, the pick trades are electricians and plumbers, right? They're the two. They're lined up. They've got enough electricians to run a power station. Like, it's just insane how many electrical, and yet when you ring up to get an electrician, you can't find one.
Yeah.
But bricklaying wise, 10 years ago in Kalula, now Kalula takes a fairly big area. I think we've got 70,000 people now. But it is over quite an expanse. So it goes to the coast, and north, south, east, west. It's quite a big area. But in Kalula 10 years ago, there was twice as many bricklayers in that area. Now, Gympie has boomed in the construction industry. It would have doubled, absolutely doubled, probably more in its population, and there's half as many bricklayers as what there was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's really strange because now when builders want to get a bricklayer, they ring me up and my choice is to stay small. So I just have like my main offsider, I have a tradie and an apprentice and myself. So 3 or 4, that's my choice.
Yeah.
At 58, I don't want the brain strain and the whole shebang. But that's me, and that's how I roll.
Yeah.
But there's so much opportunity for young bricklayers advancing through the trade. You know, they couldn't run out of work. My catchphrase at the moment is, "You could live another life." Honestly, you couldn't run out of work if you tried. You'd have to shoot the boss or something. It's because there's just so much work out there. But I say this to the young guys at TAFE. I go and I do a thing called try a skill and try a trade, and I go and help out at TAFE on a voluntary basis, all right? Now, I did my training and assessment, Duayne, but I only did it in case I broke. And I love going to work, and even though some people say to me, "Aren't you burnt out? Aren't you sick of it? Have you had a gutful of that bricklaying?" No, I actually haven't.
Mate, you wouldn't be sitting here with as much energy as you have, bouncing out of the chair, if you didn't enjoy what you're doing.
But I still do. But I know, being a bit older, I look at other people's jobs and I go, I think to myself, if you don't like your job, that's it. You're cooked. It's finished. Why are you there?
Yeah.
What are you putting in? You're not really helping that many people. You're just cheesing everyone off being there.
Yeah.
So I like going to work in an industry that's still relevant, and it needs help. It needs good bricklayers.
Yeah,
it needs good bricklayers. And I've seen a huge demographic of bricklayers over the years. Overall, as a trade, I love it, but it's got a little bit of a problem. Its skill level is going that way instead of that way.
Yeah.
Now, I have not huge answers to fix that problem. The only thing that I see is it has to be taken a little bit more seriously as a trade, and it's got to be treated more professionally. Bricklaying is a profession. It's not just a dog's body game where you turn up and put the radio on and just smash them in. That's not it. Bricklaying's as old as time itself. You can go all through Europe and you can ask all the old construction guys at college. Bricklaying was revered as a trade. It was right up here.
Well, even when I was an apprentice, mate, I remember like bricklayers were respected. They were a very top quality business to have. And I don't see it as much now. Like I remember being an apprentice, and the brickies would have their trade pack trucks, and they'd have it all decked out with the scaffolding and everything. It was all very well organised. Yeah. And I don't see a lot of that anymore.
No, and it's sort of, I think then it reflects in the quality of the job. One thing I've always been told, my old boss told me this years ago, and I've passed this on, brickwork is if you walk up to a house, it's pretty well 80% of what you see. Unless it's rendered or timber or whatever, that's cool. But if you walk up to a face brick home like yours here, Duayne, it's 80% of what you see. And do you want 80% crap or do you want 80% quality? Yeah. Which one do you want? So, and then I think for years rolling down, I'll be dead and gone, all right? So I kind of look at it that the next generation that's coming through, as long as the boss man has taught them properly, that kid will remember something. But if that kid hasn't been taught properly, one day he's going to teach someone else. Yeah. And he's actually not going to teach him right. Yeah. And yet really, when you look at it, is it the kid's fault? It's actually not. It's been the generation that's actually had it good right now. Yeah. If they haven't instilled it, they can't blame the next one for pooping it.
It's a hard, it's that sort of stuff's hard. we're absolutely under the pump at the moment. Been doing quite a lot of weekends and stuff. And actually, last Saturday I did a big day on the tools with one of our labourers, and
Yep.
one of the jobs we had to do was lay some bricks. And look, I'm not a brickie, but I was taught, like my boss was old school, and
They did everything.
if the brickie didn't show up or it was a small renovation, like we just did whatever had to be done.
Yep.
And so we tidied up the project last Saturday, did some other tasks that we had to get done for the day, and I said, right, now we're gonna. So we used the old when we did the demo on the job, we pulled the old brick fireplace down. So we had a big stone base and then the brick fireplace.
Yep.
So the stones we laid out, and that's all getting worked into the landscaping.
Yeah.
And then the bricks we've cleaned up, and we're using them for a little entry path to the front door. And I just said to him, oh, well, we finished the rocks. The next job's we're going to lay these bricks. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, I can lay the bricks. He's like, so, but like we have people come through now, and I think this is something that's really hurting the industry, is we have apprentices come, they do their time, and they think at the end of their time they're set, and they leave and they go out on their own. And there's not enough people sticking around with their employer long enough to actually pick up all the skills they need. Yeah. And so I hung around with my boss, so I learnt to do the bricklaying, I learnt to do the plastering, I got everything. And this labourer last Saturday was like blown away, because like I'm not on the tools a lot in my business anymore. Yeah. But he was blown away that I still have it surrounding in the shed over there. Like I still have me bucket. Yep. That has all the trowels and all the concrete and the bricklaying gear in it. I finished my apprenticeship bloody 20 years ago. Yeah.
Your point there that you made, Duayne's bang on, and actually, young people, this is a big thing you've got to remember, and you've got to take this on board. When I was younger, I thought, whatever. The old boys will tell you something, but your head's not in the space, right? But as you get older, you hopefully get a bit wiser. But one thing that is true is you really only start learning after you finish your apprenticeship. Yeah. It's really weird. My old boss, and this is no disrespect for him, a very knowledgeable old school bricklayer. He'd be in the top 3 best bricklayers I've ever met. In saying that, I'm talking not speed, skill level, and an eye for straight. I always say, like, you can be a natural at any job, but to be a natural bricklayer, you've got to have an eye for straight. And the other trade that's got a really good eye for straight is tiling. You know, like, we're all about lines. Mate, it's all lines. It's all symmetry. It's like...
So I don't want to cut you off and put you off track, but even that, like a simple skill, like being able to sight things. My boys hate it on site now. Like I rock into site and from across the road getting out of me ute,
you're sussing it all out.
I'm pointing, and they know when I come over I'm going to pick them up on something. Like people aren't using their eyes anymore. They rely on lasers for everything.
Well, Duayne, that's quality.
We never had a laser when I was an apprentice. I didn't even have a laser most of my trade. Yeah. Like,
now, we're coming into a great area here. This is the area I love. This is unreal. You've instigated it, and I love that. When I was an apprentice, I wasn't going to fart, right? I couldn't. I was pretty quiet, believe it or not. But my old boss was a hard ass, tough old boy, a gentleman, but old school, full on, right? So we never had, at that stage of the game, what I do like about bricklaying is you can follow it through the decades. Now, when I say decades, I'm only a puppy, really, but I've watched 4 decades. So in the 80s, they'd get out of the truck. There was no profiles. There was no clamps on the wall to set the brickwork pole to gauge off. The first thing that was, and also there was no cut and fill. So cut and fills never existed. So the builder would work with the concreter or the bricklayer and set out the job profile. We'd do a base. Because there was no cut and fill, it might have been a split level home, or it might have been a low base travelling along. They never touched the land. So we then, as the bricklayer, had to get a plan. A plan. No one looks at a plan anymore. You do, you're the builder. But if you hand one to a bricklayer, they don't need the plan anymore. All they do is measure straight off the stud, 160 mil, they're off. you had to set it out with the builder. Now, as a whipper, I didn't think much about it, but when I look back at it now, it was good because the profiles were there. We pulled our lines, we plumbed everything down onto the footing, and we started to build corners. Now, I use profiles now. I know that. I've got a brick saw, profiles, a brick elevator, all the whistles and bells. But the old way, before the laser, he'd send me off and we'd have to fill the water level. Now, and when I think about it, I've told my apprentice and he's like, a what? A water level? And how it was, the builder would have profiles everywhere. Yeah. He'd have a datum. That was the RL of what your base was going to end up at as a height. Yeah. And then we would actually attach that water level to that point. Yeah. And then the water level would be long. It could be like 30 foot of clear hose. It could be more. That would end up going around and follow the bricklayer around with a plug in the end to determine his 4th, 5th, 6th course, wherever the base topped out. And water level never lies.
Mate, I've talked about the water level a few times on the podcast.
It's 100% accurate. Yeah.
100% accurate. Yeah. Like cheap as chips.
Yeah, like cheap as chips.
I think we had a 50-metre roll in my boss's truck.
Yeah,
and, it was like it was on like a hose reel.
That's it. And it was like a normal during the apprenticeship. This was probably only the first 2 or 3 years, but eventually, Owen Thompson, my old boss, eventually he got the 14-inch masonry drop saw. He got the laser. Before the laser, we had the dumpy level. And there's one thing I do regret, and I never asked him. I never knew how to use a cowley level. Have you ever heard of a cowley level? So it's like the dumpy, but it's even older than the dumpy, and it goes back before the water level. Yeah. And it's more of a surveying tool. Yeah. Earlier.
That's the one where it looks like a little level sitting on a tripod, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. And I never knew much about that, but it's sort of weird. Those skills, I think. What they did, Duayne, was they caused you to construct a corner and build a corner. Now, all right, tomorrow I'll call the boys, this is the wall we're working on. We'll set up a profile. Profiles are industry. Profiles used properly are very good. And you can mark your gauge. If you use a profile, you can get a very plumb corner. If you don't care about the profile and the profile pulls in, it's all too late. You've got your corners run out. But I still use them for speed, but I do like to build a corner every now and then. It teaches the skill.
Most people wouldn't know what you're talking about, mate. I correct me if I'm wrong. When you're talking about building the base up, so we would go to site, do the footings and things, and then exactly like you said, we would get the bricklaying because all the jobs we did for years were brick bases, and the brickie would always start building his corner up, and that corner, depending on how high it was, sort of depended on how long it went out.
That's it, the rack out.
Yeah, and that was the start of the job.
That's it.
Once all the corners were done, then you just pulled your lines and you filled it in.
That's it.
You brought back a few memories, mate, because I got my ass kicked so many times for getting air bubbles in the water level.
Yeah. And look, it's really weird. The good bricklayers, the skilled up bricklayers, they were the corner builders. The line men, they run in the line in between. And that probably was something that the boss would have determined that Duayne's good on the corner and he's got good level skills. And I still tell my boys the principle, the principle is gauge first, level, plumb, and then alignment. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. It shouldn't change. Yeah. Once it changes, you're heading in the wrong direction for straight brickwork. So it's gauge, which is height, level, which is level, plumb, which is plumb, and alignment to line everything down. Those simple things really, probably because we're a little bit archaic, they don't actually need to change. And the bricklayer who's productive and a really good trowel, he can build a corner and there's no mucking around. They just know because they used to do it years ago. I know they do at college still now, but it's not something that is relied upon. It's funny, I've heard young apprentices say, I don't want to build a corner. We don't build a corner. We put a profile up. And the good TAFE trainer, the good TAFE teacher or the TAFE trainer will go, yeah, but you need to know how to construct a corner or something like that, or you know what I mean, where it's actually doing it by trowel and level.
Yeah.
Um,
No, look, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. This is more just for listeners, but like the first probably 10 years, I reckon, of my time, like the brickies, the one bricklayer that did most of my boss's work, like he had a brick saw on the truck,
yeah.
but it hardly come out.
Holy
Like
dooly.
we had to we had a gauge rod.
Yep.
So when the morning we flicked the slab out and marked everything out. Well, a lot of the time you had a brick base.
Yeah.
So it was very easy. You'd knock your knockoff course off.
Yep.
You'd flick all your walls out, and then you'd do all your window set out
Yep.
based on the bricks.
That's it.
And so there was no cutting.
No.
But then over my time, and as I started doing a lot of work for myself, there was so many people just not caring. And the brickies would always have the shit, so like they'd be cut. Like some bloke would be on the saw all day, every day, just cutting bricks because no one had taken the time to set the job out properly.
Yep. And this is important because, in reflection, one generation, if they don't know about setting a base out and the carpenter coming in with the builder and setting all the openings out, the windows, the doors, etc., if he doesn't get told that, he doesn't know. He doesn't even think it's a problem that you're cutting bricks. They just put them in anywhere. They couldn't care.
Most people I know, reach out. A lot of people don't even know what a gauge rod is.
Yeah.
Or a height stick is.
Yeah. And this is where it's kind of goes old school. It's almost as if the industry needs a little bit of a reboot of knowledge, but it's difficult to do that. But what can be done is the employer, he needs to do, now I'll get on to one thing here, World Skills Australia and World Skills International, one of their mottos is best practice, all right? So they promote best practice. These days, best practice is straight out the wheelie bin. No one gives a crap about anything. Yeah. All they give a garb about is how much they're getting a week, how much they're getting a day, how much they're getting an hour, whatever it is. As far as dishing up quality for the couple's biggest investment they'll ever make in their whole life, they couldn't give a crap.
And again, I truly believe it comes back to that rushing to get out of your time, to go and work for yourself. Like people just aren't picking up the skills. And the thing is, you don't know what you don't know. So you rush it on your own and you just think you're doing everything right, but you're actually producing a much lower standard of work to what we were 20 years ago.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's sort of weird. I see kids at TAFE because sometimes in a general conversation, sometimes you can be guilty of like bashing the generation. And yet I know there's really good kids out there. There's good tradies. There's kids who want to be a builder. They want to be a plasterer. They want to be a bricklayer. But there's not as much of that as what used to happen. I know one thing that I always really am thankful for. I grew up, I'm the oldest of three, and I was always connected to my old man. Anything that he was building, anything that he was doing, any dogfight that he was in town, going to the dump, going to the sawmill, whatever, I wanted to be part of.
Yeah.
I was not an indoor kid. I had to be outdoors. So, and this is before phones, before anything, where I don't know, freedom. You just did whatever. I don't know. It was just good. It's hard to explain, but I don't have to because people that are listening, they know kids who were brought up in 70s, 80s, 90s as top shelf, really.
100%.
It actually was top shelf. But I kind of really like the fact that I spent a lot of time with my old man doing things. If he was digging a hole, so he basically dug out under what I'd call, it's not a Queenslander, that's terms used wrong, but a high-set timber home on stumps. He dug it all out, re-stumped it all. It got bricked in eventually. But like they did in the sort of 70s, dads and granddads, they did a lot of it themselves. and I was always part of it. I couldn't dig enough holes with the crowbar if I tried. I just loved it. It's weird, at the time I didn't think much of it, but I look back on it now. That's, I think, is a good thing for a young tradie to aspire to doing an outdoor job or a vocational job or a construction job or painting. You're going to laugh at this, Duayne. I wanted to be a bricklayer, but my next pick was painting. I love painting. And people go, I can't stand painting.
Mate, my old boy's been a painter for 40, similar to you, like 42, 44 years. And I did a bit of time with him doing some painting when I first finished my time. And mate, I can't stand it. I'll do a bit of touching up here and there, but I just can't stand it.
Well, I used to work for an old fellow who's an old boy painter, and I do it on the weekends. And it started from work experience at high school. And he was a repainter, so he was a sander backerer, of sanding down houses and full timber repaints exterior. And I really liked it, but I know now I couldn't do it as a job, but I love these things if...
using your hands.
Yeah. There's just something about the whole creativity thing, and if you're that way inclined, it's almost... it gives you, it's like a bit addictive. I really like it. I go to art galleries and I can't paint for poop, all right? I wouldn't have a clue how to paint anything. But I look at art and I can 100% appreciate that going to the Musée d'Orsay in Paris is to see Van Gogh is just, how the hell did that happen? That will never happen again. That or Rembrandt or something like that, that's just special, so special, and it comes from these things and in here.
Yeah.
So I kind of love the whole tradie hand art creativity thing, but I just transferred into bricklaying. And
well, you've definitely done that, mate. I don't know how we're going to show some of your stuff. I'll have to try and share it on my Instagram or something. But some of that, like obviously there's that twisted archway.
Did you see that one? Do you like him?
Holy shit! I can't even start to imagine how you did that.
Well, that's a helical arch. So it's you might have noticed, and brickies and construction guys, if you listen, and we know what a helical pier is. So a helical pier is like no different than a corkscrew. So it's built in segments, and it's worked out mathematically for the turn to get 90, 180, 360, or 270, 360, depending on how high you go. So, and then we decided that it needs to become an arch. So we had to work out the arch centre as a cradle, and the cradle, it turned. And what happened, this is, Duayne, where I'm a bit lucky. This could never be an industry thing that you would be able to do for Joe Rat Builder, because you can appreciate he can't afford that time, but we were lucky we did it for brick companies, and they wanted it as a bit of an expose. So we got given the golden goose, I suppose. I'll never do one again. I'll guarantee you. As long as my bum points to the earth, it won't happen again.
Yeah.
If Duayne,
how long did that take?
It was about a week. It was because every brick is cut because it turns and arches. So it voussoirs and turns as well. So it was crazy, like the cutting in it. But
I look at that. So I think you'll be similar to me, mate. Like I haven't done a lot of travelling, but the little bit of travelling I've done, especially in Europe, I can stand and look at an old building for days.
Yep.
And I just sit there and think, I just appreciate the labour, the creativity, the skill that went into those old buildings. And it blows my mind. Well, you know more than I do. Talk about the history of bricks.
Well, that's what I love about our trade is I know it's relevant for the time. Labour. Costs them nothing. Imagine the bricklayers that would have had on cathedrals and big government buildings throughout Europe.
Thousands of them.
Oh, it'd be insane how many they had. But relevant to the time, it probably wasn't a thing that they even thought about, because at one period of time, factually, bricklayer was king. Absolutely, without a doubt. Never taking anything away from the other trades. Bricklayer, particularly through Europe, was absolute king. The place where I've seen, and hopefully some of the listeners have been there, Denmark, Copenhagen. Oh my God, Father! It's like bricklaying. It's like you've died and gone to bricklaying heaven. It's like insane, the brickwork in that country.
Yeah.
I found out why, Duayne, years after, is that Denmark doesn't have a forestry industry as such. It's all agriculture. They don't have timber. It's not a timber wealth country to be able to construct in timber, nor so much as it's steel. But bricks, oh my God, I can't overstate. I googled Denmark and brickwork, and this encyclopedia of construction will come up. It's insane. And that's kind of why I like the trade, and I like it for its skill level. I like it for its history, and it does go back a long way. And
bricklayers were around far before carpenters.
Yeah, and look, it's just probably because it was a natural product. It was dug out of the ground. It was mud bricks. Talking to Shay, travelling, I've been really fortunate to travel through Egypt. There's a country, it's amazing. And I love stone, as in granite. Like Egypt's full of granite from Aswan, from the quarries in Aswan, the red granite that makes all of what you would see as littered down the Nile. But sandstone as well. But brickwork was mud bricks. So what's weird is they hadn't really created the ability to make a beautiful mud brick product, but 2,500, 3,000 years ago they were smashing out mud bricks out of the Nile. Someone was laying them. So it's very unusual. Like everywhere you go is a masonry trade, masonry slash as in bricklaying and stone masonry. And I've got to say, it'll never happen, but my favourite trade is, it is bricklaying, but my cousin to it is architectural stonemasonry.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, that's the prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how they turn chunks of stone into the things they do is incredible.
Yeah, and that's where it gets back to, Duayne, their ability to be good craftsmen. And it's kind of strange. I get people come up to me and they go, we're in 2025. Who gives a shit? That's not relevant. Rah, 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 rah. Yeah, it is. It actually is, because that's the skill of your trade. All right. So if you want to roll it up and throw it into the rubbish bin, that's not a good thing. You can still do a quality build for Bob and Mary's brick veneer at North Lakes and not smash it up. So I know we might never get the opportunity to build. Actually, this will interest you. I'd love to do it. I don't know whether it'll happen. Next year, Gaudi's Sagrada Familiara in Barcelona is finished, complete. So you know the Gaudi's big, Gaudi the architect, his big cathedral?
Yeah.
Now that's complete in 2026. How
long have they been building that for?
Now, don't quote me on this. Everybody in podcast land will know it better, but it's like 100 and something years. So people will go, yeah, whatever, so what. I want an amazing architect, but what I find really unusual is that'd be one of the few constructions that has actually been still going over the last 100 years to complete a cathedral, which they say is just dumbfounding. It's just next level. I know previous, 14, 15, 16, 17th century cathedral, yes, they're amazing, and sure, amazing's not the right word. It has to be up from that. But for that Sagrada Familiara to be actually constructed now, man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So there must be architectural stonemasons in Europe, being them German or Austrian or whatever, that are still doing that work.
Yeah.
Which is exciting, because that'd be a tough gig to be an architectural stonemason now. I don't know how you'd stay and work, but
it's just I personally believe that easy is ruining the world. Like we're all, it doesn't matter, across the board, we're all
Yeah.
taking the easy road.
Yeah.
Like hard work is becoming a thing of the past.
Yep.
And so everything is just becoming constantly easier.
Yeah.
And so houses, like I take my job very seriously.
Yep.
And I talk about this all the time on the podcast and on my socials. Like I can still, like I don't know if you know, I'm from Gympie. Most of my family's from up that way. And
He's knocked me over there.
my
Really?
my mum's family were the Weavers. Like they owned a lot of Mother Mountain.
All right. Yep.
Had dairy and bean farms and stuff up there.
Yep.
And so, like, there's still a house out on that property that I can drive past, and that was all. They cut the timber in the hills. They
Yep.
dragged it down to the house site. They machined it. They cut it. They
Yep.
built the house, and it's still there.
Yeah, there you go.
And I just think why, like it really frustrates me that trades these days don't think like that. Like we should be building things that are going to last.
Yeah.
Like we shouldn't just be come in, smash it out, bloody get it done, move on to the next one. Like,
and I've had this one put to me all the time: is it's always financial. It's always a monetary reason why buildings got to be done to a certain level to people to be able to afford it and sort of pump them out. I'm not, it's really weird, as a businessman, not actually a very good one. This is a fact.
Yeah.
I'm a bit too creative. I sort of throw the watch away and I concentrate on the creativity thing for an outcome. But that's only if it's a special project. Now, in saying that, some of those photos, we did a church chapel. Now, we did a vaulted ceiling. Now, I'd done one vault ceiling before, but this was an opportunity to do a better one. So that was a great customer to have, all right? So he actually paid for all of that and everything was a winner. But apart from that, I kind of always try and put the quality of a job over sometimes the financial outcome of the job. In saying that, you've got to run at a profit and you've got to be able to pay the bills. But if I'm doing a job for Duayne and it takes a bit longer and we're on a contract rate and it's per thousand or per block or whatever it may be, I'm the businessman. If it doesn't quite pay, that's life, right?
Yeah, see, that's part of my mission to change, mate, because I think there's a lot of really skillful tradies out there that are underselling themselves. Like, and you've got to sell your passion, you've got to sell your quality, and it's about, you're not going to do work for every client.
No,
because there is a lot of clients out there that are purely focused on the dollar.
Yeah.
So you've got to find the clients that want the quality and appreciate the skills that you have.
That's it. And Duayne, I kind of reckon it's a hard balance. Weirdly enough, you'd think I would have worked it out after all this time, but I have a passion for bricklaying. So I kind of look at it from like different perspectives. I always try to teach my apprentice. I don't give him the broom. He's not a broom apprentice. I'm trying to make him learn something. But I sort of, kids these days, they're a little bit in the moment. So what happens is everything's got to be instant. 4 years of an apprenticeship, they go, oh my God, 4 years, I can't last that long. That's too long. 4 years is nothing, absolutely nothing. Like and in that 4 years, that actually moulds you as a person and as a tradesperson to be able to sort of continue your job all the way through. And then it becomes a career. And I know a lot of bricklayers and maybe other trades too, their construction job is not a career. It's actually not. I can pick it a mile off.
Yeah, me too.
They don't give a crap. It's not a career. It's maybe for the next 5 years we're going to knock it out of the park, and that's it. So to me, it's not a career. They can tell me all that trash as long as they want to. It's not a career. A career is something that you want to do your best at to maybe like through World Skills Australia, the reason why I'm with them is I give back to the industry. So in my simple way, I'm not like the world's best teacher or the world's best bricklayer, but it's a way to give back to the generation. And one thing I can do, and it's really weird, and as I go through life, I seem to be getting better at it, I can cross a generation gap. It's a piece of cake. It's a piece of cake. Like, I can go to TAFE, and they come out and they go, look at this grumpy old bastard. Like the hat, the friggin' sock savers, he's like, Jesus, look at this idiot. Here we go. And yet I'll make that day interesting for those kids, and I'll be a little bit cool, but I can engage them because I'm not buying them, I'm not manipulating them, but I'm making them realise that I'm not some grumpy old pup who's just you don't want to listen to.
Yeah.
So what I find is then that's ticked a box. That kid's gone away from TAFE that day and he's gone, wow, Dad, I seen this bricklayer today. He's a Fruit Loop. Like, he was as funny as, but he taught us this, and this.
Yeah.
So you've actually ticked the box. If you're a grumpy old shit and you scream and yell all day, what's he going to tell Mum and Dad?
Yeah. Well, what's he going to think of the trade?
And no positives are going to come out of it. So I try to be tough on my apprentice, but fair, and I want him to learn something. And one of my favourite lines is, this is your future, Riley, not mine. This is yours.
But I keep telling all my young fellas,
if you want to climb the ladder, it'll benefit. It'll pay dividends in years to come. And I know he gets it, but it's difficult. The world that they live in as an apprentice bricklayer is not the one that I was in.
And I think that's the hardest part, mate. I keep telling all my young guys all the time, like, this industry is changing rapidly.
Yeah.
And it is getting further and further between good tradesmen. And if you work your ass off, you put in the effort, you put in that extra 1% every day, and you aim to be the best at what you're doing, you will be very successul.
Yeah.
Because the other 9 out of 10 guys that are coming through aren't passionate and they're not putting in the effort. So I think there's never been a more... I don't ever think there's been a better time in my time anyway for people to actually do incredibly well. Like at their trade.
And this is one thing I can't speak for. It's a bit different. Like, I'm in a rural area, so I can't speak for like a city gang of bricklayers. All right, I can't really appreciate what it's like for them to be working for maybe a project builder who is going to promise them 60 houses for the year, and that's all that they're going to do. So I can't pass a judgment on that because I've never been in that position. I hear lots of things, but I've never been in that position. But the only thing is that I kind of reckon if you can, no matter what job you're doing, no matter what, aim for the better hourly rate or the better rate per thousand, but you've got to deliver something with that. And I've had a few guys tell me, oh yeah, we get this a brick, we get that a brick, we get this a block, that a block. We're whacking them in, we're doing this, we're doing that. They're building everything, they're conquering the world. But if they get a better rate per thousand or a better dollar rate, are they given quality for it? Because I sort of instill into my boys, we get good rate of brick per thousand and good blocks per block. But there's one thing more important than that, is that if Duayne pays the top dollar for the face brick laid, what does Duayne want?
Yeah.
Does Duayne want quality? Of course he does. If he's going to pay for top money, he wants a top job. So, but that mindset that's a long-term mindset. So it keeps your trade good. Because I've always, some people will go, oh, you bricklayers, you're always putting your rate up. And I'm like, look, what you've got to understand is to run at a profit, to pay workers' comp, to pay public liability, to pay super and all the red tape, Fruit Loop stuff along the way, you've got to run at a profit. You can't be living 5 years ago, just because the builder says that's all you're getting. No. No. You've got to actually get a better rate per 1,000, but the offset, there's an offset with everything. The offset is you've got to do a top job.
Yeah.
That's it. No shit.
People only focus on the
Why
dollar.
you're dishing up rubbish and you want $2.60 a brick? If you want $2.60 a brick, it's got to be prime.
Yeah.
It's got to be
what is
really good.
What is a brick worth these days to lay?
Look, we're getting $2.40 lay only, but that can vary, and that's with
It's about time.
that's Joe Blogg's builder.
It's
all right?
about time Bricky's got the right rates, eh? 'Cause
Well-
I remember for years you were on 80 cents a brick.
Yeah. And look, when I first started, out of my own, we were getting 400. I was getting 450 1,000, so 45 cents. All right, but relevant to the time, the rate has gone up, but I've tried to make it climb, and obviously costs climb, business costs climb, so do materials. I've noticed since COVID, materials, even in bricklaying, through the roof. And our materials are simple, but they've even gone up. But
Well, sand, mate, far out.
yeah,
Jesus.
it's like mad how much it is now. So, but as opposed to a builder, our materials are nothing. But relevant to Bill and Bob and Mary's house, it's still dollars that shouldn't come out of your pocket. It should be within the structure of your lay rate or lay rate plus materials or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But along with it's got to be quality, because, and I know I keep going back to it, but
Quality's the number one thing, mate.
it is, and I've said to my kids before, and I've said to apprentices on the floor at TAFEs, the recipe is actually pretty easy, but no one's doing it. If you
It's few and
pay
far
X
between.
amount of dollars, you expect a quality job, you'll be happy. Like, generally, you'll forget the price. The quality will remain.
Mate, it is a daily conversation on my job sites now with all of my trades. Like we're all screaming for help. We need labourers, we need tradesmen, but everyone is chasing more money than ever.
Yeah.
But
Are they delivering?
But the quality's lower than ever.
Yeah. A funny thing that I tell me workers, and my main man, Barry Hooper, the guy who's been with me for 30, he remembers it because he had the same boss for a period of time, and I took Barry over when Owen retired.
So
But
you've worked together for 30 years.
yeah, one-on-one. So he knows me better than my wife. Serious, I'm not joking you, Duayne. Yeah, and he is a he'd be probably in the top 5 best bricklayers that I know, and this is the difference. Barry, he's your all-round skilled up bricklayer who knows. He's actually good enough to be a teacher. He doesn't think he is. He's very humble, but he's got a package. And I've always reckoned, I look at guys and I go, you're a natural and you really know what you're doing. You don't think you do, but you actually do. You move well. You've got ability with a trowel, and it's just an extension of your hand.
Yeah.
Barry's sort of like that, but he's been the worker. He's been an employee, the perfect employee. He doesn't want to be the boss. He doesn't want the responsibility, and yet when I go away, he runs the place like clockwork, and when I come back, there's no fires to put out. There's nothing. Yeah. And what this comes from is the fact that he's a very, very good tradesman. He's learnt it right. But in actual fact, what you'd have to say is, and I'm a little bit of it, but mainly Owen as well, his previous bosses, they did it right. They taught him right. So he's a product of a generation that sort of skilled up their apprentices and their workers.
Yeah.
And he's kind of what pushes out the sausage machine at the end.
Well,
he's a winner.
He's part of that generation that takes pride in what they do.
And he laughs at this. It used to happen frequently. Owen, my old boss man, and Barry's boss, if we were laying on a wall with Owen, he would let us go through till lunchtime and sometimes even in the afternoon, and then he would go along with a pencil and he'd mark the bricks that were shit that had to come out. So as we went along, he didn't tell us there and then, the wall would climb. Not a big gang, so the wall wouldn't climb excessive. But at smoko or lunch or in the afternoon, he would drive off. I never had a car. He'd ring the old man and say, Andrew's on site. He's taking a few bricks out. Can you come and get him? Secretly, I probably had the shits. But do you know what it taught me? Don't lay the chip brick. Why are you laying chip bricks?
Yeah.
You've butted that brick. You've bedded that brick in the wall, face brick. You've pointed it, jointed it, whatever the joint finish was, and you've accepted it. Why have you accepted it? So he'd go along, put a big cross on it, and then that mud's gone off. So you'd have to plug and chisel it out and like take it out and then instill another brick. So it taught you a lesson. Don't lay shit bricks. And you know it works.
That's the name of the podcast.
It actually really works.
Yeah.
But at the time I remember the sun would be waning and I'd be like, Jesus,
Why have I done this?
This sucks, but it was a lesson. And then another thing is, and I've told past apprentices, action has consequences. If you do the wrong action, that's the consequence. Pull the brick out. We're having lunch. Catch you in 20.
Oh, mate, can you imagine doing that to apprentice these days? You'd bloody go to jail.
Yeah, and I know, but this is where I know that's what's so difficult these days, to get the balance, to be able to get that through to a generation that's different. They're not an ill-perceived generation. There's nothing. They got the skills, but I just kind of think somehow they've got to be instilled in them in a different way than what we did.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, and actually you're on a mission there, and I don't know. I have covered one base, is that if they're younger and you're older, somehow you've got to connect. So you cannot be the old fart, the grumpy old shit that no one wants to listen to. You've actually got to be the old guy who's pretty cool. He's all right. God, he's a pain. He's a bit anal. He's just, he's like ACD, but he's all right. So you've got to be a little bit like that. Yeah. So no, that's a difficult thing. I know.
Is. Mate, tell us. We'll wrap it up shortly. Tell us a bit about this world skills and what it's all about.
Now, Duayne, one thing I'll say to the listeners, if a big thing that you can do, go out there and Google World Skills Australia, World Skills International. Now, Duayne and Shay have done that, and it would have opened a bit of a world to them.
Well, last year I got asked to be a judge for carpentry at
Excellent.
World Skills, but the week they wanted me, I was away in Tasmania, so I never got to do it. But it's something I would definitely enjoy doing, I think.
Now, a guy like Duayne, they're the sort of guys that they're after, because they've got a passion, they have a knowledge, and it's one way that you can pass it on to people. So I am just Andrew Hoskings, Bricklaying. Tomorrow I go back, get in the truck, off to work. But as a part-time or as a voluntary thing, World Skills Australia, they look for passionate, well-skilled up employers or trainers or TAFE trainers, because it is affiliated with training to a certain degree, and they're after people of a like mind who can instill good trade qualities into every trade. So you would have seen on the website, it's every trade. It's not exclusive to anything, every trade. Now, I started as a regional level, but I was on the other side of the fence. I had apprentices who were identified by TAFE teachers, and one of them, BJ, I'll say, Beej, I'll speak of BJ. He's actually a carpenter now, so he went through bricklaying. He spent 14 years with me, and he came to me and he said, I want to do my carpentry apprenticeship. Yeah. So he left, but while he was a bricklayer, he had a knack. He had a good creative mind, good hand skills, good mathematician. Really don't know where that come from, because generally bricklayers aren't. Yeah. We're not real good with the maths, but he went to TAFE, and in his training, the teacher identified him and said to me, look, you want BJ to go on World Skills Regional Comp. So all of that's doing is it's fostering the skills of a young apprentice to learn more and give more to the industry through a competition. So he's up against, regionally, we were Sunshine Coast. So this might be Brisbane North. It could be Brisbane South, could be Gold Coast, and it travels all the way around Australia. So they get regional competitions where they create a predetermined project. They have 6 hours to build that project. Now, the bricklaying judges, of which I've been lucky to become one, we judge that, and it's judged on measurement, marking, and also judgment marking, as in to judge it with your eyes. So it has a very technical breakdown of marking scale. So that then Duayne wins the regional competition. All right, as a bricklayer, we'll call you a brickie. So you win that competition outright, and you're judged the best job. So then you'll move on to the national competition. So the national competition means that you represent Queensland in what was just the World Skills National in Brisbane. So you're a Queensland bricklayer.
That was only a few weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, only a couple of weeks ago in Brisbane. And it was a really successful event. It's been in Brisbane before. I'm going to say 2006.
So do they only do... So at that one in Brisbane, that was all bricklaying, wasn't it?
Well, no, it was every trade.
Oh, they did have other trades.
Trade.
'Cause I saw a lot of the brickwork stuff, but I didn't see any other trade stuff.
You know, every trade, Duayne, is part of it. Bricklaying's really visual comp, so we're kind of lucky we draw a good crowd and people love to see what the creation may be. So at the one in Brisbane I was lucky enough, I got picked to design the projects. So the 3 projects were the front facade of the town hall in Brizzy, then it was the Story Bridge with the Brisbane River running under it, and then it was the map of Queensland with a lettering that said 25 being the year. So they have 18 hours at a national level to construct that. Then those jobs are judged, and the winner will move on to Shanghai next year, which is the international competition. Yeah. Now, he'll really represent Australia.
It's really good for people to be striving to achieve those types of things.
Yeah, and look, some people, Duayne, will look at it and they go, look, it's all right, but what a waste of time. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but what I like about it is it's probably about the only outlet where a bricklayer can go and strive for something better, more skillful, at a different skill level, and he can up his skills. So World Skills Regional, National and International under the World Skills Australia umbrella will go to Shanghai next year, and then we'll have one bricklaying competitor. There'll be one carpenter, there'll be one plumber, there'll be one electrician. They'll be in a team called the Skilleroos. So, and it's like an Olympic team.
Yeah, right.
Sort of. It's sort of like it's probably like a Commonwealth Games for trades.
What's the plumbers do? I've seen what carpenters do and the brickies do.
They do a lot of modern plumbing work with the acrylic systems or whatever they are that the plumbers use these days, as well as soldering.
Yeah.
And they'll set out what would be in a house is condensed to a wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's an actual plan of which can be judged, and all of those competitors do the same thing. Yeah. So, and it just offers challenges for a young tradie to be, he meets, we had 12 open bricklayers, and then they had 8 vet in school, so vocational education training in school bricklayers. So those vet in school brickies, they got to see the open bricklayers create. So they're the bricklayers that are coming through. So it's got a really important aspect about it.
Mate, what for the young people that are listening that may be thinking about getting into a trade and being a brickie, what advice can you give them?
It's a great trade to get into. It's in this day and age, 25, 26, where we really do command the best money that we've ever commanded in my 40 years. You know, like without a doubt. It's our best money yet. It's still relevant. You're in Queensland, a boom state, without a doubt. The Olympics is coming. Whenever the Olympic City is here, we have an influx of construction, we have an influx of money, infrastructure has to be done, housing will boom, there'll be a lot of commercial activity going on in the city. My guess would be Brisbane will be like Sydney. I didn't go, but I remember the Sydney Olympics, and I know construction-wise, it was huge in Sydney prior to the Olympics. So it's a great industry, and it's not... bricklaying's a great industry to be into, and it's creative, it's outdoor, it's healthy. You get to work with other trades that are as close to the builder as you can probably get. In saying that, I always like the fact that bricklayers work with carpenters and work with builders.
Mate, and you end up to be like you, 58, and have a look at you. You're bloody bouncing out of the chair. Hey, fit, healthy, working outdoors.
It is good. And look, it's a lot of fun, and you get a good rapport with your workers. And I kind of like, you got to laugh at this, bricklaying has a culture. Now, I'm not talking about the culture of going to the pub, a bit of a slob, a bit of a downgraded culture. Bricklaying is historic. We are brickies. We're not just anything. Bricklaying's a good trade.
Yeah.
It's been around for a long time, and we'll construct things, I think, in Australia for a lot more years to come. But I'd like to think that in a technological world, that's what's difficult, Duayne. It's hard to be able to compete with technology.
Have you seen the trucks now that come to site and they lay the bricks?
Yeah. And look, that's amazing. But it won't work in cottage work. Like
it's limited.
It's limited. It is limited. In the perfect scenario in shopping centres and a controlled environment, it will work, can work, and it has worked. But it's not cottage work, and it's certainly not architecture.
Yeah,
that won't happen.
It'll work for boxes.
It'll work for boxes, But I know a trade's got to move forward, but I think part of bricklaying's problem is if the supply of bricklayers was there, bricklaying as a trade would still remain relevant because supply and demand, if you can get them still, you'll use them. From a builder's point of view, down the track, if you can't get brickies, what are you going to do?
I personally, mate, I love bricks. I think they're fantastic. I think they're underutilised now. I think they're a good product to build with. They're healthy to build with.
They're green.
They
they recycle pretty well. I don't know. They're a great product, and
they're still, even with the rates you're getting now, they're still economical.
Yeah,
it's still a very economical way to line a house.
That's right. And I say this before we wind it up. This is something that young people should take on board. Trades across the board. I said it at the beginning. The tertiary education thing's super important, mate. Absolutely, 100% important. But vocational training, every single trade, is a really important thing in a country like Australia that's young. And what happens is, if you're not a child genius and you're not going to go to UQ, you can become part of a construction industry, and you can out earn the UQers.
Oh, definitely, mate. Most tradies these days are out earning that.
That's it. So I
and you've got no debt, mate.
Yeah. That's right. That's it.
They go and do all their high-profile study, and they're paying off debt for years.
Yeah. So, and if you're not real scholastic at school, it's sort of, I wasn't. I could have done better at school, but that's the time and the place. But I like now to learn something, and I could sort of really hone in on schoolwork more now than what I did back then. I was probably more interested in surfing. But I kind of look at it from a kid's point of view. If he's not going to uni and he doesn't get a real high score at the end, he should be encouraged to go vocational, to do a pathway to a trade. Whereas sometimes, and this might set people on the high horse, trades have become a dumping ground for all the dumbasses of school. All right, and we're actually not.
No, well, that's okay, but
But that's kind of what has happened. It's sort of like, oh, well, if you don't go to uni, you can always get a trade. It should actually be said wrong. It should be said differently. It should be like, if you don't want to go to university, this is a career pathway that you could pursue.
mate, the world would be nowhere if we didn't have tradies.
That's it. But
Who builds all the houses everyone lives in? Who
That's
builds all
it.
the roads everyone drives on?
Yeah.
People, it is something that, again, it's part of my mission. We've got to improve the professionalism of the building industry.
Well, that's a good mission, and it's not a mission that everybody is on. So it's important, because when we're all gone, I sort of would like to think that one of my apprentices in the past would fly a good flag for their trade, not just a sort of substandard one. And then, you know, I suppose your job's done right then, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, it's been an absolute pleasure having a chat to you, mate. I've got a few ideas. I'm sure we're going to do some more stuff together in the future, but appreciate you driving down, taking the time to have a chat. Mate, love your passion. If one bit of advice I can give anybody that's listening, whether you're young or old, is you've got to be passionate. If you're not passionate, you're never going to be successful. That's
it. And if you're enjoying what you're doing, because I every now and then get people go to me, are you still bricklaying? And I'm like, I don't say it to them, but I think to myself when I walk away, how is that a problem?
It's not, mate. It might be to them, but it's not to you.
It'd be a problem if I was a problem to the trade. But if I like it, I don't see it as a problem, and I kind of think when I'm lucky enough to have opportunities like this, what I say may not always be taken on board by people, and a lot of people can have opinions. That's cool, but we're very lucky. If you sort of like your trade, you can promote your trade.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think that's a problem, because God, bricklaying needs promotion.
It definitely does.
It definitely does. And when I go away overseas, or if I'm in part of TAFE, I want those kids to keep going. They might be a pain in the arse. Like you identify the kid over in the corner you want to hit with a shovel, all right? You know that. But if you don't put some time into them, what are they going to do? What are they going to become?
Yeah.
You know, I had a fellow a little while ago, Duayne, say to me, we never take it on board, but as a generation, each generation, it actually is your responsibility to teach the next one.
Yeah.
It actually is. I know you don't think it, I know you think it's a burden or a pain in the arse, but it actually is your job.
I agree,
because
mate.
if you don't do it, and he cocks it up,
it's adding to the problem.
Exactly.
I agree 100%. And that's something we could definitely go on another hour for it. I feel, well, something that I've become very aware of is good tradesmen aren't good teachers. We're not taught to teach.
That is true. It is hard to teach.
It's hard to teach, and it takes time. You've got to build a skill up. Like, you've got to be relatable to people. You've got to be able to communicate well with people. You've got to be able to listen to people. So,
actually, that's a Shay. That's a ripper thing. That's actually right too, because it's sort of relevant to what I said about business before. A good tradie is not always a good businessman. I'm all right. I'm still here. I haven't slidden down the razor blade or anything like that. But I probably could have done some things differently. But that's very true about the teaching thing. It's not easy, and we're not trained like a teacher.
Yeah.
And
most tradies just want to go to work. They want to do their thing.
Yeah.
But one I'm really encouraging with my team on site, we've got to slow down a bit. We've got to take the time every now and then to spend the time to educate the young guys. So we can't just be push all the time.
And then it pays dividends down the track. I've always been a batter for the apprenticeship system. It's a tough gig, the 4 years, and a lot of people go, I couldn't put up with them for that long. But if you do, it pays dividends later.
Yeah.
If you're a good boss and he's a good employee, I've always gone on, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So if my boys actually ask me for a day off, if they give me enough notice, I don't have a problem with it. But I also want you to hit the tennis ball back. So, while we're at work here, and I ask, guys, we're topping this wall off, we're going to be another half an hour. We need to do that to pull down, to clean splashes and scaffold. You're going to be a bit longer. Is everyone cool with that? They all go, yeah, that's, you gave.
Yeah.
And then now I give back. So, but it is difficult, the teaching thing, yeah. My wife reckons I wouldn't last long in the teaching system because I'm a little bit politically incorrect and I'd probably end up in court. But
Oh, it's not hard these days.
but it's but I kind of like it. I have a try a skill thing coming up at Bundaberg, at a job site in Bundaberg under Construction Skills Queensland. I won't change the recipe. When I turn up there, that grade 12 class, I want them to respect me, but I also want them to have a good day. All right, so I don't want them to be on their phones. Phones are no-go. They go straight in the bag. So, but they'll have a good day because they'll get something from the experience, And there might be one out of those 15 who goes, oh, that was all right.
Yeah.
I might ask a bricklayer for a weekend job or something, So, yeah.
Mate, I think more kids should be taking up bricklayer. It's like going to the gym all day. Like you're out in the sun, you're getting fit and healthy.
It's a good gig.
Bloody,
Yeah.
Get into it. So, look, guys, Andrew's a little bit, he's not on the socials and that, so I can't give you the socials. Go and check him out.
Sorry.
But we'll try and, Shay might try and work some of, if you watch it visually, we might put up some of the photos of Andrew's work because it's friggin' amazing. But look, guys, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all those things. If you haven't got on board with your merchandise yet, make sure you go to the website, duaynepearce.com, and that way we can help continue to level up this building industry. See you on the next one.